بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Inshallah, we're continuing reflecting on the Surah An-Nisa, the chapter 4 of the Quran. Those of you who have probably all of you have some idea about sports and coaching, whether soccer or football or basketball or any type of sports, and have some knowledge of that, they will realize that the Quran is really coaching Muslims or coaching the believers. It's exactly what the coach does, building a team, shaping up every player, and building the team and the game plans and strategies and etc. And then talking about the other team, talking about what are the strengths and weaknesses of the other team, so that the team that you're coaching ends up winning, because it has it's competing, or it has a goal, wants to win the Super Bowl or the World Cup or whatever tournament is there. So you can see Quran is really doing this coaching thing all the time, and jumping back and forth between internal building and external challenges, and that is very consistent with the idea that this is a community that has a mission, and it's an individual mission and collective. It's both individual and collective, and Quran is building that individual and that community for that mission. So you can see really clearly the coaching style of the Quran, or because it is a guidance. It's a guidance, so it's working on, and that's what coaches do all the time. They work on areas of weaknesses that are revealed by games. Try to work on them to improve the team, so that next time the team will do a better job. So just keep this in mind, because that's an essential theme in the Quran. It's building the theme and warning it, or drawing their attention to the challenges that the team faces, so that they are ready for it and they are not surprised, and they know how to deal with it. So we reached verse talking about the so before just the one that starts with Abdullah wa la tushriku. Actually, we started that. So we are in verse. Yeah. لو تسوى بهم الأرض ولا يكتمون الله حديثا. That was a very strong scene from the Day of Judgment, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after a number of warnings about after the incentive, and that's always also a trend in the Quran, incentive, encouraging you to do the right thing in more than one way, and then trying to deter you from doing the wrong thing before it gets even to the punishment and the day of judgment. It tells you that this is not good for you, even in this life, of course, in a different ways and in eloquent ways. Showing this in ugly way, like for example, those who do not spend their money in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, showed them in a very silly and ugly face. يبخلون يأمرون الناس بالبخل. And always have this contrast also, Quran, between the two scenes and the two pictures. So those who are doing ihsan, واعبدوا الله ولا تشركوا به شيئا وبالوالدين إحسانا وبذي القربى واليتامى والمساكين والجار ذي القربى والجار الجنب والصاحب بالجنب وابن السبيل وما ملكت أيمانكم إن الله. So this is asking believers to do the right thing, and then this is verse 36, and then إن الله لا يحب من كان مختالا فخورا. So immediately called those who don't do that, they call them arrogant. So in one verse, it carries the two meanings. First of all, it calls those who do not answer the call arrogant and boastful, and then says that Allah does not like them. And that's big. That's for companions. Both are big. Will really, whoever was not motivated by the first verse, worship Allah, join nothing with him. So elevating the kindness and the compassion and to the level of worshiping Allah. Immediately after that comes be good to your parents, to relatives, to orphans, to the needy, to neighbors near and far, to travelers in need, and to your slaves. Allah does not like arrogant, boastful people. So that's very powerful message, because it has the incentive, and it projects or those who refuse in a bad way, and says that Allah does not like them. And then, if this is not enough, then comes the punishment in the hereafter. وَأَعْتَدْنَا لِلْكَافِرِينَ عَذَابًا مُهِينًا. And then also continuing with the ugly picture, these people, they are withholding not their money, they're withholding things that Allah has given them. وَيَكْتُمُونَ مَا آتَاهُمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ. And we elaborated last time. Imagine you give some money to somebody, say just keep it there, and then you call this person, say somebody is coming now, or I want you to give this amount of money to that person, and this guy says no, I'm not giving him that money. So that's exactly وَيَكْتُمُونَ مَا آتَاهُمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ. They hiding the bounty of Allah, the bounty Allah has given them. And then says, of course, and those who also spend, but they spend it not with a pure intention, not the right way, but to show off. And says that basically the reason these people are doing that, because they don't believe in Allah and in thereafter. And then they have the shaitan as they took shaitan as their close friend. Whoever has shaitan as his companions, Satan has an evil companion. So always deterring, showing it in ugly way, warning about the consequences in this life and thereafter, to make it easy on people to do the right thing. More encouraging, we are at verse 39 now. So yeah, 39. And then say part of encouraging people, Allah does not he does not wrong anyone by as much as the weight of a speck of a dust. That's really makes you more motivated to give and to do the right thing, because you're dealing with Allah, with the absolute justice, and you never fear that if you spend something, that it's not going to be actually, it's not only it's going to be accounted for, it's going to be multiplied. وَإِن تَكُ حَسَنَةً يُضَاعِفْهَا وَيُؤْتِ مِن لَدُنْهُ أَجْرًا عَظِيمًا. He doubles any good deed and gives a tremendous reward of his own. And then concludes with another, again, jumping back and forth, incentive, and then deterring and warning. Now the last warning, which is on the Day of Judgment, reminding these people that they're going to be stand before Allah, and they're going to be held accountable for what they did. And then, of course, because it is mentioned in this context, so it applies to those people. On that day, those who disbelieved and disobeyed the Prophet will wish that the earth could swallow them up. And that's a very, very strong. And just imagine what will make you wish that the earth will swallow you up. That's something huge. So that's where we stopped last time. Again, community can be strong only with solidarity. This deen is built on compassion, on ihsan. I mean, if Muslims are not doing it or not doing it to the proper level, that's our problem. That's not this religion is a religion of compassion. To the point that that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about the Prophet that he was sent only as mercy to humanity. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ, which means that whoever is true follower of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has to strive to be a blessing to his people, a blessing to the wherever they go, blessing to his or her people, because that's what the Prophet was sent to do. So the verse that starts with ihsan, worship Allah, join nothing with him, that's the highest thing in religion. Next to it, anything that is put there next to it, it is there for a reason. It is there to say that this is extremely important. So what is put next to it? Be good and kind to your parents, to relatives, to orphans, to the needy, to neighbors near and far, to travelers in need, and to your slaves. Basically, everybody who is close to you and everybody who needs your help. If you want to summarize compassion, it's very universal, but the priority goes to the people around you, people you know, neighbors, relatives, parents, people around you, and the people who are in need, even if they're not around you, if you come to know about them. So people around you and people who are in need. Just imagine if in a society this becomes very common and people are really compassionate, and they are compassionate out of, it's not only sporadically or every now and then or giving the leftover. No, you're doing it as part of your worship. So you're trying to do the best and you're trying to do the maximum, because it was put, this kindness and compassion was put next to worshiping Allah. Now we move to another part. Again, remember the coaching, building community, strong community, and then telling them about the challenges that they're going to face and how they need to deal with it. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تقربوا الصلاة وأنتم سكارى حتى تعلموا ما تقولون ولا جنبا إلا عابري سبيل حتى تغتسلوا وإن كنتم مرضى أو على سفر أو جاء أحد منكم من الغائط أو لامستم النساء فلم تجدوا ماء فتيمموا صعيدا طيبا فامسحوا بوجوهكم وأيديكم إن الله كان عفوا غفورا. This is one of those verses that tries to fix the problem of intoxication and drinking in that Arabian Peninsula and society, in which the drinking was an integral part of their life. So it's not, and that's why Quran has fixed it in stages. So this is one of them. The first verse, as I mentioned before, was from Surah An-Nahl. The first verse from Surah An-Nahl, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمِن ثَمَرَاتِ النَّخِيلِ وَالْأَعْنَابِ تَتَّخِذُونَ مِنْهُ سَكَرًا وَرِزْقًا حَسَنًا. That was the first, time Muslims, their attention was drawn to this drinking thing, that it is وَمِن ثَمَرَاتِ, that's Surah An-Nahl, verse 67. Verse 67. And Surah An-Nahl is 16. So chapter 16, verse 67, that was the first indication or implicit sign. Again, Surah 16, verse 67, what does it say? From the fruits of date palms and grapes, you take sweet, you take juice and wholesome provision. Actually, translation is not really very good here. The Arabic word sakar means wine. Yeah. So you take from the fruits something which is bad because it is sakaran or wine, and then something that is wholesome. So it put the wine in contrast with something that is good, and some companions, they got the message already from there. Now comes to the next step. What's the next step? You cannot pray while you are intoxicated. And that's big. Prayer is very important for believers. And then now they are told, do not come anywhere near prayer if you are intoxicated. Why? Because you will not know what you're saying until you know what you are saying. So that's strong, because we have 5 prayers. I mean, there isn't much time for people to get in, to drink and then get and recover so that they can pray. So it is becoming really harder and harder for people to be addicted, because now you cannot pray while intoxicated. And subhanAllah, you can see how Quran allowed Muslims to do this for a while. I mean, it's because again, you want to solve something from the roots, you have to treat it in an effective way. And we know that all the attempts to prohibit alcohol from or drinking from above did not work. It was tried in different places, and again, including of course in the United States. This drinking thing was very common and widespread in a society that didn't have any mission. It has no cause, nothing. Again. So Quran is fixing this problem from different angles, closing or tackling the root cause of this. Now you have a community who's on a mission. You're gonna have to be strong, alert, awake, etc. Society has to be very solid, etc. So there is no room for this. There is no room for this in such society. So has been there already building up, that you have mission and you have of course by implications there is no room for this in such a community. But then comes don't come close to Salah, and some explanations or interpretations say Salah itself, and some they actually this is for the next step, but do not perform prayer while you are intoxicated. That's a big step towards prohibiting alcohol or drinking and intoxication, followed by the other step, which is سألونك عن الخمر والميسر يقول فيهما إثم كبير ومنافع الناس وإثمهما أكبر من نفعهما. That was in Surah Al-Ma'idah. So first 1667 in Surah Al-Nahl, then comes 4, Surah 4 and verse 43, don't come close to prayer while you are intoxicated. And then Al-Ma'idah, they ask you about intoxication or drinking and gambling. Tell them that there are some benefits for them in people, but there are sins in them, and their sins are bigger than their actually this is also in Surah Al-Baqarah, and their sins are bigger than their benefits. So the sins outweighs the benefit. And then comes the one in Surah Al-Ma'idah, which is إنما الخمر والميسر والأنصاب والأزلام رجس من عمل الشيطان فاجتنبوه. So in 4 stages or 4 steps to uproot and eliminate this habit. We all know the social diseases and the problems that affect the family and the societies and the individuals from this. They called al-Khaba'ith, the mother of all sins or the mother of all problems. From accidents to family disintegration to crimes to you name it. If you want to point to all the problems that results from intoxications, you will probably find the big chunk of social diseases. And then the rules for Salah. The rules for Salah, so you cannot approach Salah while intoxicated, and also the until you know, and if you are in a state of major ritual impurity, also you don't approach Salah. And this is where there is difference of opinion between is it the Salah or is it going to the mosque? If you are in a situation that requires ghusl or you take a shower, some opinions goes to that you cannot perform prayer itself, or some say that you cannot also, or you cannot stay in the mosques, includes with that, or they add to the prayer itself. Because says, though you may pass through the mosques, and here you can see how Quran is so, and this religion is so accommodating, and so it's really a religion of ease, not of hardship, because some of the companions had their doors, their houses open to the mosque, so they may have to walk or to pass through the mosque, even if they are in the state that does not allow them to pray. So وَلَا جُنُبًا إِلَّا عَابِرِي سَبِيلٍ. See how sometimes the Quran goes into the details just to accommodate people, just to make it easy. So you cannot cross or you cannot come to the mosque while you are in that state, but except if you are passing by, because remember, otherwise it's going to be so hard for them. So anytime there is a rule that is going to cause hardship, Quran comes with those exceptions, and Islam comes with those exceptions really to make it easy. So you don't do that until you take a shower. حتى تغتسلوا. وإن كنتم مرضى أو على سفر أو جاء أحد منكم من الغائط أو لمستم النساء فلم تجدوا ماء فتيمموا صعيدا طيبا. So whether, and if you need a shower or you need wudu, I mean the major impurity or the small impurity, if you need a shower or you need wudu. In both cases, again, the exceptions. If you are sick, if you are traveling, until you have bath, if you are ill on a journey, have relieved yourselves or had intercourse and cannot find any water, then find some clean sand and wipe your faces and hands with it. It's amazing. So yes, to pray, you have to have wudu, or if you need if you are in state of major impurity, you need to take a shower. But in either case, whether you need wudu or you need a shower, if you are sick, if you are ill, if you are on a journey, and some scholars says if you are on a journey, even if there is water available. I mean, there is opinion that says when you are traveling, even if water is available, you still can take the permission or the and perform salah with the tayammum, which is the using any pure sand or rock or anything. I mean, in all cases, basically these list the cases where you need a wudu or you need a shower, and there is no water, or you are sick, or you are concerned that if you take a shower or you do wudu, it makes you probably have a wound, or you have something that, or you have a cold, or that will make you even more ill. Then of course the general rule in Islam is that you don't do anything that harms you. فتيمموا فامسحوا بوجوهكم وأيديكم إن الله كان عفوا غفورا. The whole idea, Allah is always ready to pardon and forgive. It's amazing. Allah كان عفوا غفورا, ready to pardon and forgive. The general rule again for Islam is to make it easy on people while doing what is necessary and what is beneficial for them. This idea of doing something before you jump to salah, so that salah will, or the prayer will maintain. It's a special meeting. You're meeting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You cannot just do it without any preparation. So if wudu ablution is not possible, or it can be harmful, then you do this tayammum, or you wipe your face and your hand, wipe your face and hands with something clean, again, clean sand, clean rock, clean anything. ألم تر إلى الذين أوتوا نصيبا من الكتاب. Now, subhanallah, going from internal building to the challenges. And the more you read the Quran and reflect, the more you realize how much the scope and the amount of challenges that Muslims faced, and one big source of them were the Jewish tribe in Medina, because they posed a religious challenge. Because until that point, until Quran was revealed, the Jewish tribes and the Jews in Arabian Peninsula and in Medina, they used to be the religious reference, or they have the religious standard. And Arabs at that time, they see themselves inferior when it comes to religion. So they can be easily intimidated, because these are the people of the book. These are the people who have the prophets. So the greater emphasis tells you that, shows you that complex of inferiority among Arabs, and also the powerful tools that the Jews of Medina have used at that time to shake the beliefs of Muslims and the foundations. So Quran builds those foundations, and then go out and or tell you about remember the coach. Quran is coaching the believers. So now telling you about some of those challenges. ألم تر إلى الذين أوتوا نصيبا من الكتاب يشترون الضلالة ويريدون أن تضلوا السبيل ألم تر إلى الذين أوتوا نصيبا من الكتاب يشترون الضلالة ويريدون أن تضلوا السبيل. So now drawing their attention to external challenges. Have you considered how those who were given a share of the scripture purchase misguidance and want you believers to lose the right path? It's amazing, this Quran in very condensed way conveys so many meanings and messages here. So ألم تر إلى الذين أوتوا نصيبا من الكتاب يشترون الضلالة. So first of all, these are the people who are given the book. They're supposed to be the first one to believe. I mean, if you like a book, or if you are follower of a book and they tell you that there is the book that you had was corrupt and or is no longer was not preserved, and there is a new edition or original or whatever, then you should be the first to believe. So Quran is saying, I'm telling those, rather than doing that, because they were given a portion of the book, and in their book there are some indications and some information about the prophets who is coming. So the normal course of action is for them to believe. Why? Because this is a continuation and you know about it and you are expecting it. There are a number of evidence that says that especially the leaders of the Jewish tribes in Medina, they were aware that this is the time of the prophet who's coming, in addition to the hints that were mentioned in their book. But what they do something exactly opposite, which is, and also shows that decision, Quran shows that decision in a very ugly way. Somebody purchased misguidance, and you have guidance, and you are using it to purchase misguidance. يشترون الضلالة. Very powerful, two words. Somebody purchase misguidance. You never purchase something that is harmful or that is bad. Purchase misguidance. يشترون الضلالة. And look at, they were expected to be the first to believe. They come down, they reject. And in rejecting, as if they are like someone who purchased misguidance, and they don't stop there. They even want you to be misguided. وَيُرِيدُونَ أَن تَضِلُّوا السَّبِيلَ. It's an amazing. People were expected to be the first to believe. They don't. And in doing so, they purchase misguidance. And they did not even stop there. They are working hard to mislead you or misguide you. They purchase misguidance and want you to lose the right path. Now, this is powerful. Remember the context. For Muslims, if the Arabs at that time, they thought that's very powerful, because again, when it comes to the religion, the Jews at that time, they had the standard, then they had the authority, and etc. So that's strong. Immediately, Quran, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows this, knows that they have this complex of inferiority or intimidated, etc. And then, of course, when you tell them this, that can reinforce that complex or that intimidation. So Quran immediately goes to comfort believers and tell them, Wallahu a'lamu bi'a'da'ikum wa kafa billahi waliyan wa kafa billahi nasira. It's really, this Quran is really, it's a great piece of art. Yeah. It's even though it is word, but it's really, it's drawing pictures, nice pieces of art. Yeah. Allah knows your enemies, so call them enemies. Of course, we're talking about those, not those who rejected faith. Now we're talking about those who are actively working to attack, weaken, shaken the community, conspire against it, conspire against it in religion and otherwise. So first of all, call them enemies, and then comfort them. Allah knows them, and He's enough to protect and enough to help you. وَكَفَى بِاللَّهِ وَلِيًّا وَكَفَى بِاللَّهِ نَصِيرًا. No, that eliminates completely any feeling of intimidation or so they're trying this. Yeah, you have to be aware. That's the style of the Quran, by the way, and style of Islam in general, is to get you to confront the brutal facts and reality. This is it. This is what it is. You are surrounded by people who are conspiring against you, and that's very serious. What's the should you just yield to this, or should you accept? No, these are enemies. This is the reality that you have to deal with. But if you do the right thing, then you can count on Allah to be your helper and protector. And then goes back to describe again, basically this idea that Arabs may have at that time, that they are people who have no religion, they are idol worshippers, and Jews are the ones who inherited religions and have prophets, etc. So now has to bring this down. من الذين هادوا يحرفون الكلمة عن مواضعه ويقولون سمعنا وعصينا واسمع غير مسمع وراعنا ليا بألسنتهم وطعنا في الدين ولو أنهم قالوا سمعنا وأطعنا واسمع وانظرنا لكان خيرا لهم وأقوم ولكن لعنهم الله بكفرهم فلا يؤمنون إلا قليلا. Again says it's like we have seen last week and today, the contrast between those who spend and compassionate and those who do not. Same thing here. So another contrast, very nice contrast. Some Jews distort the meaning of revealed words. They say we hear and disobey, and listen, adding to the insult. May you not hear. I mean, they use words that apparently looks good or looks like reflects a good manner or character, but they mean something else. So basically they're making fun or belittling the prophets and the believers and mocking them, twisting it abusively with their tongues so as to disparage religion. If they had said, so that's the other approach. That's what they're doing. That's what they are doing. يحرفون الكلمة عن مواضعه, distort the meaning of revealed words. The best explanation I find for this is that the indications or the statements that indicates that there will be a prophet in their books, they distort those. They interpret them in a different way. Or the rules that they don't find convenient, they also distort them, the rules in their book. And that's very common. That's not only Jews at that time, even Muslims, some official religious scholars, unfortunately, a lot of time they distort the meaning to please those who are in charge or the rulers, etc. So this distorting meanings of revealed words, either for convenience or to please someone who is in charge, that's unfortunately, it's a very common across religions, especially by those official clergy or official scholars. Yeah. So this is the meaning that they distort, they distort the meaning of any words that has even a hint about that there will be another prophet, or there will be the seal of the prophet, etc. And then also the rules that they do not like, or they're not convenient, or they also try to distort them. And then the way they treat the prophet and the companions, again, it's a very childish, very silly, by the way. I mean, but it's an attack. It's a strategy that can work, especially people who already are a little bit intimidated, and they look up to the people of the book, or the Jewish tribes at that time in Medina. And these people, they mock them or make fun of them or belittle them and belittle their prophets, and then play with words with them. That can have an effect. So says that's what they do. And then the verse, it's the same verse, says what they are supposed to be doing. It's like وَمَاذَا عَلَيْهِمْ لَوْ أَنْفَقُوا. It's the same thing here, as we have seen with people who are miserly and do not spend. Quran said وَمَاذَا عَلَيْهِمْ لَوْ آمَنُوا بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ وَأَنْفَقُوا مِمَّا رَزَقَهُمُ اللَّهُ. And the contrast between what they're doing and what they're supposed to do. Same thing here. That's what they're doing, and what they're supposed to do is وَلَوْ أَنَّهُمْ قَالُوا سَمِعْنَا وَأَطَعْنَا وَاسْمَعْ وَانظُرْنَا لَكَانَ خَيْرًا لَهُمْ. If they had said, we hear and obey, listen and look at us, that would have been better and more proper for them. But Allah has spared them from for their defiance. They believe very little. So this is what they're doing. It's so ugly, belittling the prophets of Allah, making fun or mocking him, playing with words that's very childish and very silly, saying words that apparently they look good, but they use them for the wrong purpose. And that's what they're supposed to do. And that's better for them. كَانَ خَيْرًا لَهُمْ وَأَقْوَمْ. It's better for them in this life and thereafter. We go back to the people to the concept of purchasing misguidance. وَمَاذَا عَلَيْهِمْ لَوْ آمَنُوا بِاللَّهِ لَوْ أَنَّهُم here وَلَوْ أَنَّهُمْ قَالُوا سَمِعْنَا وَأَطَعْنَا وَاسْمَعُوا لَكَانَ خَيْرًا لَهُمْ وَأَقْوَمْ وَلَكِنْ لَعَنَهُمُ اللَّهُ بِكُفْرِهِمْ فَلَا يُؤْمِنُونَ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. But it is Allah who spurned them, or basically kicked them out from his mercy. That's la'an, is to be kicked out of the mercy of Allah. Has spurned them for their defiance. They believe very little. And even with that, with still calling them Ya ayyuha alladhina utul kitab, which is something, it's like calling believers Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, basically to have their attention and to pay attention to what is coming. Also talks to the people of the book, Ya ayyuha alladhina utul kitab aminu bima nazzalna musaddiqan lima ma'akum. This is almost the last call. Yeah. So it starts by telling them, calling them with a nice name, the name they like, people of the book, people who have been given the book. Ya ayyuha alladhina utul kitab. This is even more stronger than Ya Ahl al-Kitab, people of the book, the people who are given the book. Believe in what we have sent down to confirm what you already have. It's a very nice call. People of the book, or people who have been given the book, and then believe in what we have sent down to confirm what you already have. You should be the first one to believe. But then comes, of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best, knows the human nature. And sometimes after exhausting all the means comes of course, the warning of the consequences. Because again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the nature of a human being, and sometimes that's the only thing that will work. So after all the appeals showing this is the better way to do it, that's what you're doing, it's very ugly, very silly, very childish, that's what you should be doing, that's even better for you. And then all the people are being given the book, believe in what we have sent down to confirm what you already have. Comes the warning: من قبل أن نطمس وجوها فنردها على أدبارها أو نلعنهم كما لعنا أصحاب السبت وكان أمر الله مفعولا. This is very similar to the conclusion about the people who are miserly, and when conclusion was that there will be a day when people will wish, or these people will wish, that the earth will swallow them up. Now comes another similar warning. Before we wipe out your sense of direction, قبل أن نطمس وجوها فنرد على أدبارها. Before we wipe out your sense of direction, turning you back or reject you as we rejected those who broke the Sabbath. Allah's will is always done. So نطمس وجوها can be interpreted in different ways. It can be that all those different organs that will be completely wiped out, or basically there will be no organs. It becomes like one sheet or one. So without that, tams is usually is to cover something or to wipe out your sense of direction. It can be that's another interpretation, to the point that you don't know where to go. فنرد على أدبارها, you may be walking backwards. أو ننعلم كما لعنا أصحاب السبت وكان أمر الله مفعولا. Sometimes this is the human nature. You keep appealing, you keep telling them this is it was addressed to different categories. That's not only for the Jews, for Muslims, for people who are not miserly, for always it's the same style. These are the good people who are doing this or do this. That's this is best for you. If you don't do it, then there is an ugly picture and or metaphors, and keep playing on these two, incentive and deterrence, and then comes the last resort, which is that on the day of judgment, or the punishment that Allah will inflict on people. And then here, إن الله لا يغفر أن يشرك به ويغفر ما دون ذلك لمن يشاء ومن يشرك بالله فقد افترى إثما عظيما. Of course, to tell people of the book who consider themselves the reference in religion at that time, to tell them that what you're doing is shirk, it's big. And that's big also for the Arabs, for the illiterate people who had no religious background, to be told that whoever is doing this to you, even if they are the people of the book at that time, this what they're doing is shirk, is associating partners with Allah. Allah does not forgive the joining of partners with Him. Anything less than that, He forgives to whoever He will. But anyone who joins partners with Allah is lying and committing a tremendous sin. So again, part of the coaching and empowerment and preparations to deal with those challenges, telling Muslims that this is whoever is doing this, that's an act of shirk, regardless of what they claim. And shirk, of course, it's a big sin. And then comes to tackle, of course, the chosen people. The concept of chosen people ألم تر إلى الذين يزكون أنفسهم. And that applies not only to the Jews at that time, applies to any people at any moment. They take things for granted, and they think that because we are Muslims, because we are this, because we are that, then we have a special status or special situation, and all of this is demolished completely. There is no room for this. ألم تر إلى الذين يزكون أنفسهم بل الله يزكي من يشاء ولا يظلمون فتيلا. There is no room for that. And unfortunately, Muslims fell in the same trap that nowadays a lot of Muslims, they consider that because they were Muslims or born Muslims or born in Muslim society or to Muslim parents, then that's enough for them. That will do the job. Have you considered those who claim purity for themselves? No, Allah purifies whoever He will. No one will be wronged by as much as the husk of a date stone. So absolute justice. And there are verses that will come later on, and there is this incident of the Jewish individual in Medina who was wronged by Muslims, and Quran was revealed to exonerate him, and to and that in that context also it was confirmed that there is no such thing, there is no privileges, there is no special status, there is only fairness. When it comes with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is only fairness and justice. So no room for claiming special status, or you are above the law, or you don't need to do anything because things came with their birthrights. At the same time, it confirms for people that Allah you will not be wronged. There is no privileges, but at the same time, anything that you do, you will not be wronged, even fatila, even that tiny thing above the stone of the date. انظر كيف يفترون على الله الكذب وكفى به إثما مبينا. ألم تر الذين أوتوا نصيبا من الكتاب يؤمنون بالجبت والطاغوت ويقولون للذين كفروا هؤلاء أهدى من الذين آمنوا سبيلا. أولئك الذين لعنهم الله ومن يلعن الله فلن تجد له نصيرا. أم لهم نصيب من الملك فإذا لا يؤتون الناس نقيرا. أم يحسدون الناس على ما آتاهم الله من فضله فقد آتينا آل إبراهيم الكتاب والحكمة وآتيناهم ملكا عظيما فمنهم من آمن به ومنهم من صد عنه وكفى بجهنم سعيرا. And then it's a whole passage. We're going to read it. It starts from verse 50 actually. See how they invent lies about Allah. This is in itself is a flagrant sin. This concept of chosen people, or have you considered how those given a share of the scripture now believe in idols and evil powers? They say of the disbelievers they are more rightly guided than the believers. Those are the ones Allah has rejected. You, Prophet, will not find anyone you will not find anyone to help those Allah has rejected. ومن يلعن الله فلن تجد له نصيرا. So it's an ugly picture again. Those who have given a share of the book, yet they purchase misguidance. They chose to believe otherwise, and then they side with the disbelievers, those and they say these are better. So it's an amazing for people who are been given share of the book. They say the mushrikeen, for example, of Quraysh, these are better than the believers. الذين كفروا هؤلاء أهدى, these are better than. So idol worshippers, are better than those who the believers. أولئك الذين أنعم الله, again, always try to diminish the status of anyone who commit shirk or choose to oppose or attack you believers, or try to shake your self-confidence or your faith, etc. Always make them look or encourage Muslims not to be intimidated. So these are the ones who Allah has rejected, and you will not find anyone to help those Allah has rejected. أم لهم نصيب. The next verses is saying why this is happening. Why this? Why these people have chosen to do this? أم لهم نصيب من الملك فإذا لا يؤتون الناس نقيرا. So that's one of the. Do they have any share of what Allah possesses? Then if they did, they would not give away so much as the groove of a date stone. Naqiran. You can see fatilan and naqiran. These are the tiny things that surround the stone of the date. Or is it because of envy? أم يحسدون الناس على ما آتاهم الله من فضله. Is it because this time this prophet did not come from them? Do they envy other people for the bounty Allah has granted them? But these people have been given so many before. There are so many prophets. We gave the descendant of Abraham the scripture and wisdom, and we gave them a great kingdom. آتيناه ملكا عظيما. Some of them disbelieved in it, and some of them believed in it, and some turned away from it. Again, the general rule that there is no such thing as a whole nation is chosen or better or anything. It's just an individual responsibility. So did they take the stand because they envy those Arabs or illiterate at that time, or because Prophet did not come from was not a Jew this time? But you have been given so many before, so many revelations, wisdom, kingdom, etc. Some have believed, some have rejected. And then, of course, reinforce the rule. What's going to happen to those? And this is now typical conclusion of at the end, when nothing else works, comes the warning about the day of judgment and the contrast between the outcome or the destiny of those who reject and the destiny of those who accept guidance. This passage concludes with hell. Okay, and some turned away. We shall, hell blazes fiercely enough. We shall send those who reject our revelation to the fire. When their skins have been burned away, we shall replace them with new ones so that they may continue to feel the pain. That's very, very strong. But next to it comes Allah is mighty and wise. Will not do this if it was not justified. As for those who believe and do good deeds, we shall admit them into gardens graced with flowing streams, and there they will remain. They will have pure spouses there, and we shall admit them into cool, refreshing shade. So we'll leave it there, inshallah. That's actually the time. Again, you can see this Quran working on individuals, and before we have seen it working on the family, and today we're also working on the community, and then also telling Muslims about the challenges that they're facing, because it's like a team being built for a tournament, big tournament. This is a community that is built for a mission.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Ghannouchi.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I have a question regarding I look at it real quick. It is 49. It talks about Allahu yuzakki man yasha. There are other references to basically in terms of wealth, in terms of wisdom, you know, in Allah yahdi man yasha, in Allah yarzuqu man yasha. I don't know if there's a difference between this ayah, this statement, and the other ones in terms of the part, the Muslim plays in I guess in the formula, if you will, in Allah yahdi man yasha. Is that from my understanding, it's you see wisdom, you study, you read, then you get Allah's huda, wisdom or guidance. In Allah yarzuqu man yasha, same thing. You strive, you will make, I guess, get more wealth. It does not arrive to you as basically when you're not seeking, wealth. You have to do your part. So with this verse right here, verse 49, Allah yuzakki man yasha, is that a different concept? Is there a different interpretation to in Allah yuzakki man yasha? Is that something the Muslim does here, or is it in this verse exclusively for Allah?
Actually, this is a very delicate question and has been there forever, which is combination of the absolute power of Allah, and then how can, like, everything in this life is basically a choice. Like, so how do we combine those? How do we combine that Allah guides whoever He will, and then at the same time, people are responsible to seek guidance? How we combine Allah provides for whoever He will, and then people have to work hard to get to make money and to earn income. Actually, they are not contradictory. It's hard for us to grasp the combination between the two. But if we focus on our side, that makes it easier. Which is, for me, I have to work hard and use the proper means to earn income and to maximize my income and my wealth, etc. And then I'm going to succeed here, fail there, etc. Because while I'm doing that, I'm going to keep also believing that Allah is the one who provides, because I may do everything right and end up losing. And so it's not guaranteed. It's just basically, it's between doing everything you can and putting all your trust in Allah. That applies all the time. It's the concept of tawakkul, which is relying on Allah. If I'm relying on Allah, why should I plan? No, you should be planning as if you are relying on your plans. At the same time, when you do everything you can, you put your trust in the hands of Allah as if you have no plans. It's that very delicate balance. Same thing. It's work so hard, plan, start businesses, get a better job, improve your skills, make yourself more marketable or more employable. All of this you have to do. At the same time, your provision is not coming from your skills or from your company or from the business that you started. It is coming from Allah, and you need always Allah's protection, Allah's blessing and barakah, etc. Because otherwise, and I'm sure you know, and I know, we all know, probably if you try to remember, you came across people who make the same amount of money, or sometimes a person X makes more money than Y, and Y is living better life. That's because Allah protected him from many problems, or put barakah or blessing in their time and in their wealth, and they're living much better life. It's same thing for guidance. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. Those who strive in our ways, we will guide them to our path. It's nobody should say that because Allah يرزق من يشاء, so I'm gonna stay home and wait for Allah to provide for me. And every now and then I will check the door or the window if Allah sent me rizq. That's not going to happen. And nobody should say that if Allah wants to guide me, He will guide me. So I will wait until one day I wake up and find myself guided. All of this is nonsense. All of this is an inappropriate way to the proper way is basically, if you try to grasp the whole thing, it's hard. And you may be lost, and you may think that there is a contradictory, or feel that there is contradiction. But if you focus on your part, and I need to learn my religion, I need to be the best in the sight of Allah, I need to be to do my best because I want to be لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. I want to be the best. I want to be the closest to Allah. I want to express my gratitude and my love to Allah in the best possible way, better than anybody else. Then this whole idea of Yahdi man yasha, it will not, or Yuzaki, is not going to be there. Same thing for rizq, same thing for everything. So focus on your part and don't try, or don't put a lot of efforts trying to resolve this apparent contradiction between I have to work, but I have to rely on Allah. I have to work and earn my income, but Allah, I have to believe that Allah is a Razaq and He provides for whoever He will. That can really confuse you. And the best recommendation and advice I have is for all of us to focus on our part. And because at the end of the day, Allah is not to be asked about what He does. لا يسأل عما يفعل. Now we have firm belief that Allah is the all-knowing, the all-wise, the mighty, and so we leave His part. It's like for hisab. إنما عليك البلاغ وعلينا الحساب. That's always, it's like Quran is addressing the Prophet that your job ends when you convey the message. That's it. And holding people accountable is the exclusively for Allah. Same thing. So let us always, in this big and deep and intertwined religion, and let us focus on our part so that we avoid a lot of confusion.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Almas.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I have two questions. First, thank you for the class. Always, jazakallah khair.
You're breaking off.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me? Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd like to ask about, you talked about the gradual eradication of alcoholism from Islamic Quranic perspective. Can you please share insights about the emancipation of slavery from Quran? Because a lot of time there are controversies concerning that issue. And then my second question is on how do we explain the balance between what's the word? There's no what is it? Compulsion in religion, and the fact that the Quran speaks about those who have rejected the truth and being away from the mercy and forgiveness of Allah. So, like, how do you explain that?
Okay, the first one is again the approach of the Islamic approach of solving social problems, especially those that are really deeply entrenched in society. It's not uh, a top-down approach. It's not like from day one, stop drinking. You should not be drinking, because you may do that, but it's not going to work. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best, knows that this alcohol at that time was so deeply entrenched in that society that that approach will never work. The approach is saying like from after or in the first revelation or in the first few revelations comes and telling Arab before building the faith and the belief and their relationship with Allah, because that's the key. On that foundation, things were resolved later on. Because once you believe, once you build that relationship with Allah, and people start like having that great love of Allah and reverence and gratitude, then you can anchor anything there. Then when you tell them that Allah does not like this, a lot of people will stop it. And then you tell them this is bad and this is may have bad consequences, and then another segment of people will stop, and then until everybody will stop, and then you will be left to deal only with a very small minority who just could insist or continue to do that. And that's where the law comes in. The law cannot fix a social problem. The law can fix only when there is a social norm that is going the right way, and there is a minority that are committing that crime or that problem that can be dealt with it with the law. But the law can never resolve a complex social problem. Same thing for slavery. Now, slavery, it was not only a system, economic system in the Arabian Peninsula, it was an international system. It was the whole economy. It was an integral part of the economy of both domestic and international. Now, Quran could have said, like in the first verse, to Rasul Sallallahu, who did not have any follower, or after he has few followers in Mecca, or when they were a weak, small, struggling community in Medina, say, you know what, you need to abolish this. That's it. Tomorrow, that's it, man. There is no, it's not going to work. I mean, Allah clearly, that's what Allah wants, and made it clear for believers that's what Allah wants. And that's why the problem was resolved. Yes, was resolved gradually, but was resolved completely. And I recommend that you read about the prohibition, the attempt of United States to prohibit drinking or alcohol, and how it failed miserably. And that's not only here, it's in other countries. I mean, every country that tried to do this by the law never worked. So slavery, it's the same thing. I mean, it was a problem that was there, very deeply entrenched in the culture, accepted, social norm, nothing. There is no like even revolutions or rebellion against it. There is nothing. I mean, it was very accepted and it was the norm. And Quran came the same thing that it did with intoxications, that basically tackling it from first, it's the voluntary thing. It's maximizing the, I mean, showing the right way or what you're supposed to do, so that you get a lot of people will be doing this. A lot of people will be freeing their slaves, and get the majority to do that through kafara or through because of charity or etc. Start freeing people, because clearly from early days of Islam, it was put at the one of the highest things, the most noble things to do is to free slaves. get the majority to do that, start the social norm to change, and then apply the law or try to fix it at the end. So that's the approach of the Quran. You know what? Smoking in this country, the fact nowadays that non-smoking is the norm, and there are very strict laws on smoking. It didn't start this way. I mean, I'm sure if the government came in 60s or 50s or whatever and issued some laws, probably will not have a lot of it will not have a lot of acceptance or implementations or effective implementation. But there was a lot of work of awareness and of the danger of smoking and the right of non-smokers. And I mean, once you start changing the social norm, then comes the law to deal with the remaining part. Again, and it worked, and you can see it worked very efficiently. That's the same idea for slavery. I mean, Islam did not invent these things, did not create them, found the society, and Islam has the approach of the physician or the MD. I mean, someone who want to really find out the root cause and try to solve the problem from the roots, rather than giving people painkillers, which can make them feel good, but will not resolve the problem. The last part is not really contradictory. The second question is not contradictory. Actually, it's the other way around. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us it's none of our business to convert people or to judge people. But Allah is telling us or telling those people through us that if you reject, that's the consequences. So there is a difference. There is a fine line between you as a believer. Your job ends in representing Islam in the best possible way in your action and the interaction with people. And then when you have a chance to present it in the best possible way. And that's it. Now, it's people's decision. They decide. And yes, there is no compulsion in religion. And I go even more than that. I'm always say that not only there is no compulsion in religion, the decision of your colleague or your neighbor or your cousin or whatever to accept or reject should not affect your relationships. I mean, that's something that's between them and Allah. You are still colleagues, you're still neighbors, you're still fellow citizens, you're still brothers and sisters in humanity, you're still. So it has nothing to do. You just did your job. They may, you are supposed to be witness, not the judge. The judge is the individual himself or herself to decide. And then the ultimate judge is Allah. But judgment is none of our business. It's just be a good role model, represent Islam in the best, be a good ambassador of Islam, and try to articulate it in the best possible way if you have a chance. And that's it. So when Quran is warning people about the consequences in this life and in the day of judgment, is not telling you to take the law in your hands. This is between individuals and Allah. And your job is to convey those verses, not to implement, not to execute them, is to tell people that if you reject, then you lose God's protection, God's help, God's blessing, and then on the day of judgment, that's going to be the consequences. But that's between you and Allah. So they're not really contradictory.
Thank you, Jazakallah.
Jazakallah.
Jazakallah khair, Dr. Anousheh. I have a quick question on Surah 43. Deals with approaching Salah while intoxicated. My question is, it says, do not approach Salah if you are intoxicated or
So that you know what you
impure
say.
yeah, until you do bathing, تغتسلوا. Now, and then the second part of the verse says, وَإِن كُنتُم مرضى أو على سفر أو جاء أحد منكم من الغائط. It basically says فتيمموا. Now, can you do tayammum? Yeah, can you do tayammum if you're in a state of janaba and you don't have water, or is that are they exclusive of each other?
No, they both. It's when you need wudu or you need shower, state of janaba, you need shower, and you don't find water, or there is not enough water, or using water can harm you, then you use the tayammum. So tayammum applies to both. When you need ablution or you need a shower, and there is one of those conditions, which is there is no water or there is not enough or water can harm you, then you use tayammum.
Okay, Jazakallah khair.
وإياكم إن شاء الله.
Jazakallah. Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry for interrupting you, and I know that it's almost time, but I do have a question about, or I just want a clarification about like the ayah number 49. We just went through it a little bit ago. أَلَمْ تَرَ إِلَى الَّذِينَ يُزَكُّونَ أَنفُسَهُم. Isn't this more like a questioning about somebody who's praising himself here in this case? So it's not that it's like as the other, or like Yahud and Nasara, for example, they thought, or they always presented themselves as better than the Muslims in this case. And in here, God responds to them, Allahu yuzakki man yasha. So it's not more about like somebody just yuzakki his nafs, showing that I'm better than anybody else. In here, it's more about like a response to those who think that they are better than the believers and they believe in their own. Is that correct?
Actually, it's Quran is always can have some special meaning for a special situation and always have the general meaning. This is, you're right. I mean, this one is for general. I mean, nobody should praise themselves and say, either I have special status with Allah because of this or because of that, because of ethnicity, because of anything. So this tazkiyat nafs is to say or to claim that you are special for Allah. You are the chosen people. You are people who are not the rules will not apply to you. Any claim that takes you out of the fact that individual responsibility, that you're responsible for what you're doing, and if you do something good, you will get the benefits of it, even if in this life or in the hereafter. And if you do something bad, that's to reaffirm this important, essential concept in religion of individual responsibility and accountability. And that don't try to find a loophole to say that because I belong to this nation, or belong because I was born in a Muslim societies or to Muslim parents, and I'm Muslim by birth, so I have an advantage over others. There is no advantage. It's only what you do. It's your beliefs and your action. So this comes in that context, that even though it came probably in the context of Jews claiming to be the chosen people, but it is general principle that nobody should claim any special status or put themselves in a special situation. Allah does that. You do your best, and Allah will classify or will judge people. Inshallah, we'll come back to this because this is an important idea, and we'll see it later on in a different way when a Jewish individual, Jew in the Medina, was wronged by Muslims, and Quran was coming basically to fix that situation and to tell Muslim that you should not fall in the same trap. You should not feel that because you have advantage or you're special at the end of the day, everybody should get their rights. So we'll see that, inshallah, next time. Inshallah.
Jazakallah. Kul khair, Dr.
Right.
Suhail. We see everybody next Sunday in the masjid, inshallah, at 12
Inshallah.
noon. Please
Inshallah.
be on time.
Inshallah.
Please be on time, guys. We have
Inshallah.
guests, our guests, they are coming on time. We need to be there on time. Jazakallah kul khair.
And when I can see you, brother,
Sorry, I could
this is Mohammed. Where I can find you, brother?
see you in the masjid next Sunday, inshallah.
You're gonna be on Sunday there?
Next Sunday, everybody will be in the masjid. The class will be in the masjid for next Sunday,
Inshallah.
inshallah, okay?
Oh.
We see you in the masjid, 12 noon next Sunday, inshallah. Jazakumullah kul khair. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. We have guests from the church who are visiting us, for those who are not aware.
Okay. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.